The goal in marriage is not to think alike but to think together. Let's get started with today's session with this quote. And this is very important because the poem that we are going to deal with today is about marriage, the man and woman involved in the marriage. But the title is Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. Why? How? We will go through it. Written by Adrienne Rich, the American poet. Let us learn about her. She was born in Baltimore in 1929 on May 16 and died in California in 2012 on 27th of March. She was an American poet, scholar, teacher, and critic whose many volumes of poetry trace a stylistic transformation from formal, well crafted, but imitative poetry to a more personal and powerful style. As you can see on the screen, she has received a lot of awards. But now we are going to deal with her very beautifully written, well crafted poem, Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. What is the theme of it? Let's go through that. Aunt Jennifer's Tigers is an interesting poem which looks at the life of a married woman, the institution of marriage within which she suffers, and shows how she uses art as a medium to escape the reality she is in. Divided into 3 stanzas of 2 couplets each, the poem employs a rhyme scheme of AABB, CCDD, and EEFF. The poem uses the figure of Aunt Jennifer and her needlework, a tapestry of magnificent tigers in a forest, in order to explore the themes of womanhood, marriage, repression of one's personality, and the importance of artistic expression. Well, you may sum up to be something like domestic violence. In domestic violence too, the woman suffers inside her home and she is being tortured physically, mentally, emotionally. Such a woman is presented in the poem in the form of Aunt Jennifer. And when this happens, the woman is suffering inside and out. That happens in a patriarchal society. What does it mean? A patriarchal society, family, or system is one in which the men have all or most of the power and importance. Like, to feminists, she is a classic victim of the patriarchal society. Through this posture also you can understand that how in a patriarchal society the women do not have any voice, significance, or power. All the power is given to men. The poem that we are going to deal with rotates around this particular notion, patriarchal society, and how a woman suffers in that. Coming to the text of the poem, it's very beautifully written, perfectly rhymed. So let's go through it firstly. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright topaz, denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. They pace in sleek chivalric certainty. Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering through her wool find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. When Aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. Such a beautiful poem. Let's go through the explanation. Let us look at the literary devices and everything else about the poem. The first stanza. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright topaz denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. They pace in sleek chivalric certainty. When we look at the third and the last line, we can clearly see the use of anaphora. The word they is used in consecutive lines, that is why anaphora. And the use of metaphor is also there in bright topaz. We will go through it, that how it is a metaphor. And the rhyme scheme is pretty usual, AABB. The poet is describing a lady whom she addresses as Aunt Jennifer. She says that Aunt Jennifer is doing embroidery on a piece of cloth which could be a tablecloth or a wall hanging. She has designed it with beautiful tigers which are running fearlessly in the green forest. She has described their beauty by comparing them with a precious yellow stone known as topaz, and that is why bright topaz is basically a metaphor. And a tapestry hanging on a wall on your left, such a tapestry is created by Aunt Jennifer, and the tigers are jumping across the screen. It means that they are actually present on a wall. Screen here means the wall. And they live in forest. Denizens of a world of green, they are residents of a world of green. They live in the forest, free to roam anywhere, not caged or bound at all. She says that they appear bright yellow in the green backdrop of the forest. They are fearless and they are not affected by the presence of men. Here we can sense the contrast of behavior between the tigers and Aunt. Though the tigers designed by her are fearless, but she herself is afraid of her husband. Further, the poet says that the tigers are proud and fearless citizens of the forest. They are very shiny and elegant. So when we look at a word like sleek, so it means that they are glossy, shiny. Their skin is very beautiful to look at. And they run. Pace is run. They run with sleek, chivalric certainty. Chivalric is brave. Certainty is surety. When they run, they are very sure about themselves, their courage, that none of the other creatures could hunt them. And that is how their courage and confidence, boldness, fearlessness is completely brought out by the poet in the very first stanza. So we come to know that Aunt Jennifer has created these animals, the tigers, which are bold, unafraid, confident, brave, beautiful to look at. And they are free, not caged at all. Now let us learn about Aunt Jennifer through the second stanza. Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering through her wool find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. Wedding band is a wedding ring. Alliteration is present in first line, fingers fluttering, and there is a use of hyperbole. Hyperbole is exaggeration. So when it is written that wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand, it cannot be the case. I mean, a wedding ring cannot be that heavy that the hand is completely crushed down because of that. This is pure exaggeration. When that pure exaggeration happens, then we have the figure of speech, hyperbole. And here the poet describes the fear of Aunt Jennifer towards her husband. She says that while she is doing embroidery, her fingers are quivering, shaking with fear of her husband. Her husband doesn't approve of her hobby of embroidery, maybe. Therefore, she trembles while she is embroidering the piece of cloth. It has become difficult for her to pull her needle up and down. So it shows that she was physically so weak and traumatized that she could not even fulfill her hobbies very properly with a lot of fun and excitement. So her personality appears to be so different from the tigers that she has created. Then she describes the wedding ring which was given by Uncle to Aunt Jennifer on their wedding day. She says that it is a kind of burden for her to wear this ring. That is why the massive weight. She has been tortured by her husband so much that the wedding ring, which could have been a beautiful gift for her, seems like a burden to her. She has faced so many difficulties in her married life that the little ring is described as a heavy band on her trembling fingers. This means that the ring is associated with some bad experiences in the form of torture she has faced because of her husband's dominating behavior. So now when we look at the tigers and Aunt Jennifer, it is very clear that both are very different from each other. Aunt Jennifer is physically weak. She has suffered for so many years. She is fearful of her husband, caged inside her home, unlike her tigers. Coming to the last stanza, and when Aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie. Still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. Some important figures of speech are present in the last stanza. The first one is alliteration. The sound of P is repeated in the last line. Prancing, proud, clearly visible. Then we have the use of pun. Pun are very popular literary devices wherein a word is used in a manner to suggest two or more possible meanings. Like Santa's helpers are known as subordinate clauses. So because Santa Claus, so subordinate clauses. Here in second line, the word ringed. Here we have the use of pun by the poet. Let us look at it, how it is done. The ring here refers to her wedding band or the ring. The literal meaning, that is the ring on the finger, which has brought with it a host of family responsibilities. She feels so surrounded, and that is why ringed, by her marital constraints, hardships, constraints are hardships, that it seems like an ordeal to her. So the picture on the right is encircling of the finger, one meaning. The picture on the left, it is as if the ring is crushing her personality completely, like a cage is pressuring you to to shrink from the inside. That is why two meanings. Then we have the brilliant use of two figures of speech in a single phrase. Terrified hands. Two figures of speech are present. The first one is a synecdoche. A synecdoche is a figure of speech in which a term for a part of something refers to the whole of something or vice versa. Now look at the sentence. In New York won the game, the speaker refers to the New York Yankees baseball team, which is an example of a synecdoche. So it is not the entire New York City that has won the game. It is the team that has won the game. So the team is only a part of a bigger thing, but it represents the whole. That is why synecdoche. Terrified hands, how it is used? The hands are only a part of Aunt Jennifer's personality or her body. So when the writer is writing terrified hands, it means that the entire personality of Aunt Jennifer was terrified even after her death. The second figure of speech present in the same phrase is transferred epithet. It is when an adjective usually used to describe one thing is transferred to another. An epithet is a word or phrase which describes the main quality of someone or something. The builders were looking at a dizzy height. Heights can't literally be dizzy. They have no feelings. So in the same manner, when we say sleepless nights, so nights cannot be sleepless. It is the person. But the adjective is transferred from the person to the night. In the same manner, the hands cannot be terrified. It is the entire personality of Aunt Jennifer that is terrified. But the adjective meant to be for the entire persona of Aunt Jennifer is transferred in her hands. So the transferring of the adjective takes place, and that is why transferred epithet. Now the explanation. The poet says that one can easily sense Aunt's desire for freedom and fearlessness through her design of tigers. Further, she says that it is not possible for Aunt to achieve this freedom during her lifetime. She will attain it only after her death. But here also the irony of her life is that still she will be tied up with shackles in the form of her husband's wedding ring. So even after her death, she would not be out of the fear of her marriage and the husband. She was mastered by, means controlled by her husband. The ring was the sole proof of the tortures which she had faced from her husband. On the other hand, there are the tigers designed by Aunt Jennifer, which will always depict her desire of living a fearless life by jumping proudly and bravely on the piece of cloth. So in totality, the tigers are basically nothing but her inner wishes, hidden wishes. Aunt Jennifer is quite weak and submissive, whereas the tigers are strong, bold and powerful. She is bound by the constraints of a married life, while the tigers are free to move about in the green woods. The tigers created by Aunt Jennifer are an expression of her desire to free herself from the constraints of a married life. She wants to be bold and fearless like her tigers. There are some symbols used by the poet. The first symbol is Aunt Jennifer herself. She represents women all over the world wedged under the tyrannical hand of a patriarchal society. And Jennifer's tigers are also a symbol. They symbolize her dreams and desires of being powerful, fearless, decisive, and liberated. The wedding band signifies the patriarchal society where the command is defined as masculine. And the last symbol is the uncle or her husband, who represents the oppressor in the situation, the one who exploits. So with this we will close it, and after going through the poem, one thing that we should learn from it is that domestic violence or constraints of married life, patriarchal society, they are those things that are a stigma on an equal world. So what we need to do is to grow into a better person as a man or as a woman. So here's to strong women. May we raise them, may we know them, may we be them. And with this, I would like to close today's session. But yes, before closing, I would like to show you this beautiful picture of a 4-year-old girl, and she says that I am only 4 years old and I know everyone is equal. So let us treat everyone as equal, man and woman together in the institution of marriage. They should have equality everywhere. Thanks a lot for listening. Thank you.